We continue with this theme, or our coverage of the proposed National Government of Unity and also its possible implications for the running of the country. I am joined now by Professor Mazwe Majola, who's a political analyst from Wits Business School. Professor Majola, a pleasure to have you on the program this afternoon. Maybe a decent starting point would be to explore the question of what are the potential benefits and challenges of forming this government of national unity in the country, particularly in addressing the current political landscape and also the challenges facing South Africa.
Good evening, sent to your to viewers. Well, the challenges are well known. Of course, the challenges are differences between political parties. We've got a wide range of differences. There are differences in terms of ideology, differences in terms of culture, values, differences in terms of their leadership styles, differences in terms of their expectations, their policies. So they're so diverse, you know. So putting all these people together is not a child's play. You really need level-headed, judicious and rational leaders who will not think of themselves, leaders who will think of other people, especially the South Africans. So the benefits is that we are pulling different people together who will form a government, who will form a cabinet, and then we'll have someone from one party and another one from one party who will be doing things differently. There won't be a like-mindedness or conformity or unanimity. So you'll be having people who will do things in different ways, and it will be easier even to agree to disagree in many instances, or even to hold each other's accountable, because they are not coming from the same constituencies or the same faction where they will just agree to everything that other leaders are saying.
I want us to crystallize the point that you make about our various political parties also having different ideologies and agendas. How might the inclusion of diverse political parties in a national unity government really impact the policy-making process, but also very important, the governance process in South Africa?
You see, I think now we must just come into the reality. That's why we are calling for realistic and rational leaders. Yeah. We must just be realistic now that, unfortunately, the voters could not or did not give any party a mandate. Yes, the ANC has won, but not an outright. You know, out of 16 million people who voted, they only got 6 million. So we've got about 10 million that did not approve them or rejected them. So as things stand now, you need leaders very mature who will be able to say, look, we campaigned against each other, we insulted each other. There are so many things that we said about each other or to each other during our campaigning. Now it's not a time for campaigning. Now it's time to build or to create a government or for the sake of our country. Therefore, irrespective of what we said against each other during campaigning, but let us find each other and let us see if we can work with each other, not against each other. And people will respect those leaders, because people will say, wow, look at these leaders, despite their differences, but they found one another, and they are working together. And we know that they are different. We know that they don't like each other because of this and this, but we respect them that they have put people first, and they've put the country first, and they are able to work another. Those are greatest and exceptional leaders who are respected by people.
Professor Majola, in light of past experiences with the national unity governments here in South Africa, some mention the example leading to 1994 and other countries. What lessons can be drawn for really ensuring the effectiveness, but also the sustainability of such a government in really addressing the needs and aspirations of the population?
Yes, I think it's a fragility of the government, as you're saying, that really drawing lessons to what happened in 1994. They formed this government, and again, remember that, and I think many other analysts have alluded to this. Remember that in 1994, at least the ANC was the majority. ANC had about 62 odd percentage. So when they invited other political organizations or parties to work with them, at least they had an outright majority. So even when they left because of certain differences that they could not take anymore, but ANC could still continue governing. So even now, I think you must just guard against that. There's that fragility within this setup that we are talking about the next 5 years here. So is it possible? Is it doable that these people can form something formidable, something that will be able to stand for another 5 years? So that is the thing, that as they do this, they must really put those guiding principles to say that this is not about a 1 year or 2 year baby. It's a 5-year thing. How are we going to make sure that it is sustainable, it's workable, even during our differences?
So with these questions in mind, what role does public trust and confidence really play also in the success of a government of national unity? And how can political leaders then ensure transparency, accountability, but also inclusivity to build and, but also very importantly, maintain trust among citizens?
They cannot do anything without trust. So trust is an adhesive, it's a glue, it's a foundation of anything or everything. They will have, as I was saying, that there were cats and dogs before elections, probably even now. But now they must find a way of building this trust, that look, we are together and let's just trust each other that we are doing this thing not for ourselves. And these are guiding principles that we will work on. And I don't think there should be anyone who must play referee and a player at the same time. For instance, I know that the ANC is a majority and has invited other political parties to join them to form this government. But it would be very unfair for the ANC to drive this process. It would be better if you have an independent and objective facilitator. But I don't think that should be a sitting judge president. I don't think that he must really involve himself there in terms of facilitating this thing because of the separation of powers. You could still find a very eminent and distinguished, maybe a retired judge who could be trusted and accepted by all parties to facilitate this. So it could be one of the eminent academic or maybe a religious figure, but a very trusted person who can then facilitate this. So that, because the idea here is ANC cannot bring its manifestos and say, look, come join us, this is what we have. ANC must accept and acknowledge that they don't have an outright majority. Therefore, it must bring its manifesto, but other political parties, they must bring theirs. And then this facilitator then must bring some policy makers who can say, let's let's come to a middle ground. ANC, you wanted this, DA, you wanted this, but unfortunately, you don't have money to do that. How can we pull things together? There will be no winners or losers, but let's find compromise here that it must not be the way you wanted. It must not be the way your people wanted, but because of where we are and because of the situation we are confronted with, let us try to find each other something that is workable. So when they do that, it will be, but it will be very, very unfair that ANC can just say, okay, come join us. Okay, this is what we are putting on the table. ANC must be a player. That you've got to have an independent and objective referee that will then harmonize all the manifestos and commitments and promises that were made to people. And then people must be educated, especially the voters, to say, look, you voted for this manifesto, but unfortunately, because you didn't give us an outright majority or mandate to lead the government, therefore, this is what we could do under the circumstances, but we are doing it for the benefit of the country.